live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Budapest here in Central Europe. I hope everybody has had a great week and is having a good Friday. This is a members chat class. Of course, everybody is welcome to watch. I will discuss lots of great reading strategies for the IELTS and how to get a band 9. We will look at some list of headings questions as well as others. Hi Sheng Hung, good to see you. There's one of our members joining in. We will have an all chat class in about 90 minutes, continuing with yesterday's listening class and exercise. Hi Aman. All right everyone, again a reminder as we wait for more members to join in, this class is brought to you by aehelp.com, where we have 6 original practice tests, over 100 hours of video lessons, and a fully interactive course. Now, if you're searching for the general IELTS exam, check us out at gieltshelp.com. Where, of course, we focus on the general version of the test. You can also download our app, Academic IELTS Help, from your app store. Look for our shield. Our websites look like this. We are official British Council IELTS Registration Center partners. And this is our academic website at aehelp.com. Click that red button to join us there. All right, we have some more members joining in. Hi Kamlesh, hi Ferdavs, hi Alexander. Good to see all of you. This is the general IELTS website here. I'll show you in just a moment. Looks like this with the green background, and you can join here by clicking the red buttons at the end of the video or here. All right. Students, if you have questions about our products or the IELTS exam, feel free to send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. So, right now we will look at reading, followed by listening section 3 and 4 in the next class. Before we look at today's passage, Sheng Hung, Aman, Kamlesh, Ferdavs, Alexander, Jayaram, Amar, and members joining in. Let's start off with some questions about the reading section. So I want to give you again a chance, a couple of minutes, just to answer any questions you might have regarding the reading section. In the academic, you can ask me questions about the general version of the test also. I'm very familiar with it, of course. So if you're not sure about what you can or cannot do on the answer sheet, or about one specific type of question, or if you can jump around in the passages, now is a good chance to ask me about these inquiries or curiosities that you may have regarding the reading section. Hi, I'm Arjit. So, any questions, hi Danish, about academic reading, passages, questions? Focus on the reading, okay? If you have general questions, you can always email those to me. Or is it all clear with the reading? I know one question that many students ask is, should I read the whole passage to get a high band score? So while you're thinking of your questions, I'll throw a couple up, or at least one that I know many students ask. So do I need to read the whole passage to get a good band score? Over 6. Let's say. Okay. The answer to that question is yes, because many questions are paraphrased and inferred. So to get answers correct over 25 or 25 from 40, you do need to read the whole passage. Okay? And understand about 70%. Okay, so if you need to get a 6.5 on your Ielts exam, this is true for the general and the academic, you should read the whole passage because a lot of questions are paraphrased, meaning they use synonyms and other words, or inferred, which means that you have to read the paragraph or even a couple paragraphs to understand what the answer is. So at least 15 to 20 questions from the 40 in the 3 passages or in the 3 sections, you will have a very difficult time, if not impossible, to answer if you're just skimming or scanning. Okay. All right. So Danish is asking, I'm only getting in trouble understanding the passage. Okay, Danish, that's a statement. It's not a question. So Danish, your question would be, how can I understand the passage more? So Danish, okay. What can I do to understand the passage better? All right, well, the answer to that, Danish, is try to visualize the information and use critical thinking. And I think you know this, Danish. The other step for this, Danish, is at home when you are practicing reading passages, identify whether it is vocabulary, grammar, or both that is keeping you from understanding. Then focus on improving these skills. Okay, so those are a couple of steps, Danish, for understanding the passage. Also, Danish, use the questions to help you understand the passage. Okay, so use the questions. This is number 3. To help you understand the passage. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay. Yeah, Amar, I think you asked exactly what Danish asked, except you correctly asked me in a question format. Ferdovs is asking, why do many students make mistakes, especially in the heading section? Ferdovs, I don't know if you were here in last week's reading class, but I actually showed the answer to that very clearly. So Ferdovs is asking, why do many students make mistakes in the questions, especially the list of headings? We'll look at that today. And I'm going to add another one. I think Ferdovs, another one where a lot of students make mistakes is and multiple choice. Okay, so that's a good question, Ferdovs. And here's your answer. So number 1, because students are looking at the choices, hoping that the answer will show itself. Okay? So this is what I mentioned for Dobbs, is that when students look at the list of headings in the reading, they look at the choices without even thinking about what the heading should be for that paragraph, and they're hoping that somehow magically the correct answer will just jump out at them and will be like, aha. And of course, they're looking for matching words. And often, the choices that have matching words with the paragraph are not the correct answers. This is exactly, Ferdovs, what I meant when I said many questions are inferred. So you need to understand the whole paragraph or at least a few sentences. So one reason why students make mistakes in the list of headings or the multiple choice is because they're hoping that the correct answer just leaps off of the page and into their mind. And this is a wrong strategy. So instead, students should think of the correct heading for the paragraph and the correct answer to the multiple choice question or questions, and then choose the closest match. And we're going to do that today. Okay. So that's one reason as well. Another reason is they're skimming and scanning for the answers. When they should be reading. So that's another reason why they make mistakes with those. Another reason for Dobbs is students are trying to match words between the passage and the choices instead of matching concepts. Okay, so that's another reason why they get those questions wrong. So those are all reasons why they get those wrong. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, so the correct way is to use your brain and think about the answer first. I hope that's clear for all the students because you can definitely save a lot of marks. Okay, I'll take one more question. Okay. Okay, Amarjeet says, if we do not know about the title of the passage, how can we visualize it? Okay, that's a good question, Amarjeet. So Amarjeet says, if we do not know about the title of the passage, how can we visualize it? Okay, it's a good question, Amarjeet. So if you read the title of the passage and you have trouble understanding what it is, don't panic. The answer is look at the questions to give you more information. And if you're still really stuck, then just read the first sentence of the introduction and the conclusion. Okay? Because that can usually give you a lot of clarity. Okay, so those are two different ways to get further ideas on how to visualize the passage. So read the first sentence and last sentence of the introduction or introductory paragraph and the first sentence of the conclusion. Why did I add this last sentence of the introductory paragraph? So I said read the first sentence and the last sentence of the introductory paragraph. Why did I say read the last sentence of the introductory paragraph as well to get a good idea or better visualization of the passage if you're really stuck with the title and you're not sure what's going on before you even begin looking at all of the other parts of the passage and even the questions. So really focusing on that last sentence of the introduction. Why? Yeah, very good, Ferdov. So Ferdov says it's because the thesis is there. Okay? Absolutely. Okay, in most cases, it is the thesis. And Amarjit realized that too. So Amarjit says, oh, that's the thesis of the author that will help you to visualize. Okay, so those are some good questions. Hopefully we'll have a bit more time at the end for more questions. So let's look at the passage right now. Here we go. We're going to do this together, members, and we're going to try to keep this to 20 minutes. So our goal with this passage is to do it the same way as in the real IELTS. Yeah, and I'm very happy that many of you realized the answer was the thesis is there. Keep that in mind. Okay, so list of headings. Here we have a list of headings. Fantastic. Before we look at these, let's look at the title. So right now the time in the class, students, is 15 minutes, 39 seconds. So we'll try to get this done by 36 minutes, this whole passage here. Okay, sounds like a plan. Here we go. Battle for the world's tallest building. Okay, so this passage is about the tallest building in the world and the battle for it. So it means different countries or different people are attempting to always build higher and higher and higher buildings. I'm visualizing this. What do you see when you imagine the world's tallest buildings? What comes to mind? Come on, I think we might have some true false not given in this one. So Alexander says some skyscrapers. Shenghung says I'm standing on the tallest building in the world, which is currently the Burj Khalifa, right, in Dubai. As most of us know, it's a very famous building. So maybe Shenghung, you're standing on the very top in the lookout restaurant or top section of the Burj Khalifa. Amar Wadi sees the Eiffel Tower in France. Preeti sees the Burj Khalifa. Good. Okay, so we're visualizing this. All right, and then we look at the list of headings. A controversial designation. Okay, now I know that I need to paraphrase this, and I'm doing this in my mind because in the real exam I don't have time to write this down. So controversial designation means a debatable title or an argumentative title or naming. The Industrial Revolution, okay, that's the time of factories and mechanization or making machines. Buildings in space, so structures outside of Earth. Fast and impressive, quick and amazing. The reign of the churches, the rule of religious buildings or cathedrals. The Strasbourg Cathedral, so it's a specific church. A part of human history. People's past, a part of people's past. Technology, logistics, and engineering. Okay. Gadgets, statistics, and architecture. The industrial acceleration. So accelerate means to speed up. Industrial means using machines, so speeding up using machines. Tall structures of the ancient world, so tall buildings a long, long, long time ago, thousands of years ago. Looking towards the future, so thinking of the time coming ahead. So I'm doing that quickly in my mind. I'm doing that paraphrasing quickly. That gives me kind of an idea of this passage. So stay with me, members. Stay with me, viewers. You will see what's going on here. All right, Aman, your wish come true. Yes, no, not given question. I skip this question. I don't review it because there's false and unnecessary information here. And then I look at the next questions, which are multiple choice. So here, multiple choice, I don't read the choices. They will confuse me. I only read the statement. That will help me because this is in the passage. What was the world's tallest building in 1960? Now, members, stay with me and focus because I'm going through the steps, the correct strategy for the exam, but you will be answering this. So, Kamlesh, if you saw this in an older video, then you should have an advantage. Okay? So, what was the world's tallest building in 1960? Number 12, what, according to some commentators, is the difference between buildings and structures? Okay, and my reading speed is fine. You don't need to read faster. I can even slow down a bit. Which statement best summarizes the message of the passage? I'm focusing on understanding what I'm reading. And that's it. All right. So now I'm going to go back to the beginning. I'm going to start reading, and I'm going to answer the list of headings questions as I read. So read with me. Viewers, members, read together, and let's answer these questions to get that band 9. So A, the desire to construct taller and taller structures has been a part of human culture for at least 4,500 years, dating back to ancient Egypt and through the modern day. The construction of the tall structures has mirrored advances in technology, logistics, and engineering. Today, the world's tallest buildings are landmarks, tourist attractions, and points of civic and national pride for residents. Members, what do I do now? What's my next step here? What should I do? Many of you should be familiar. Nope, I'm not looking at the headings yet, Danish. Shang Hung says critical thinking. Yeah, so what do I do? Very good, Amar Wadi. So Amar says I should ask, what is it about? Don't look at the headings. That's exactly what I said, members. If you look at the headings, you're going to try to think that it'll pop out at you, and it's not. So Shang Hung and Amar have the right answer. Ask what it's about. So what is this about? What is this paragraph about? Give me your answer, because we're going to do this for the next paragraphs. So what is this paragraph about? We're doing this together in 20 minutes. You're giving the answers. Shang Hung says it's about the desire to construct taller and taller buildings. Even go further, Shang Hung. When? So when is that desire to construct taller and taller buildings, Shang Hung? Yep, Danish, you're on the right track too. So constructing taller and taller buildings. When? So Ferdov says in the past and in the present. Now we go to the choices. Okay. Which one of these matches closest to what you just said? So Danish says from ancient to modern days. Okay, so which one of these matches closest to what you just said? Which number? Ferdovs says, I think it's 7, a part of human history. Amar says, I think it's number 3, buildings in space. Amar, I didn't hear you write anything about buildings in space or say anything about that. I'm not sure why you would choose that. Preeti agrees that it's 7. Zainab agrees that it's 7. Yeah, so the desire to construct taller and taller buildings, past and present, seems like it's a part of human history. So the most popular answer is 7. I'm going to take that one. Okay. So 7 it is. Okay. And we continue. Let's read together. Ancient Egyptians believed that to be closer to the sky was to be closer to the realm of the gods and afterlife. While regular Egyptians had to settle for burial in the ground, the pharaohs got to be entombed much closer to the sky in purpose-built pyramids, the world's first truly high structures. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built in approximately 2560 BCE for the burial of the pharaoh Khufu, reaching a height of 481 feet at the time of construction. The Great Pyramid was the tallest structure in the world for almost 4,000 years. Incredible. What is this paragraph about? It's about the tallest structures in ancient times, specifically the pyramids, even more specifically, the Great Pyramid. Which one of these matches the closest? If I read them carefully, I will realize that tall structures of the ancient world, it's a pyramid, matches the closest. And that answer is given for us. So that's our example answer. It's X. It's good. I know I have the right thinking. Roman numeral 10. Fantastic. And I love how Shanghung and Preeti and Danish are on it. They're like, that's 10. It's X. All right. So I keep going with C. It wasn't until the year 1311 CE and the construction of the Lincoln Cathedral in England that the height of the Great Pyramid was surpassed at 525 feet. It was only slightly taller. Throughout the period from 1311 to 1880, the title of the world's tallest building changed hands a number of times through both destruction and construction. But each structure was a European church. Interestingly, the world's tallest building from 1647 to 1874, the Strasbourg Cathedral in France, was actually shorter than the original height of the Great Pyramid, standing 469 feet. The cathedral was approximately 13 feet taller than the Great Pyramid's contemporary height, which had been reduced 35 feet from its original stature by erosion. Sure. What is this paragraph about? Students, members, what is this paragraph about? So you're asking the question before you look at the choices, and you're answering it in your own mind. And for Dobbs, this is how you avoid making mistakes. So what is this paragraph about? Nope, I think that's too general, Danish, history or past. Amar says the difference between structure and destruction. I don't think so. I think that's just an explanation, Amar. It's not what it's about. Ferdav says the highest buildings are churches. Amarjeet says churches. And students, don't take my word, but look at your fellow students. The most popular answers are often the correct answers. So Amarjeet says it's about churches. Look how often that word appears in this paragraph. Cathedral, European church, cathedral. Those are all churches. Cathedral. It's another way to say church. Okay. So look how often the word church, or a synonym of church, which is a cathedral, appears in the passage. So it's about churches. It's about the Strasbourg Cathedral or church. It's about the Lincoln Cathedral or church. It's about all the churches between this time. Okay? So, which one is the right answer? Okay. What is the right answer for this next paragraph? So you're all saying it's the reign of the churches. Okay, I agree. That's what I would give. Okay, number 5, reign of the churches. All right, let's keep going. So, 1884 marked the first time the world's tallest building stood in North America. The Washington Monument, standing 555 feet, in Washington, D.C. is also the world's tallest obelisk and tallest all-stone structure. During this period, engineers and architects were reaping the fruits of the 19th century Industrial Revolution, which led to accelerating advances in construction, engineering, and technology. In 1889, the Eiffel Tower was completed and stood as the world's tallest building at 986 feet for over 40 years. What is this paragraph about? What is this paragraph about? So Mekonnen says it's about engineering and technology. Ferdov says technology has accelerated. Amar Wadi says it's the Industrial Revolution. Okay, those are partly correct, I think. Let's see what you come up with as the best answer now, thinking about that. So which one of these do you think is the best answer? Ferdov says it's the industrial acceleration. Amar says the Industrial Revolution. Okay. Any other picks? Give you a few more moments there. So Shanghung says, I think the best is the industrial acceleration. Amarjeet agrees, and I agree as well. Yeah. So industrial acceleration is the best answer. Okay. This paragraph is talking about speeding up the building of taller and taller structures because of technology that came with the Industrial Revolution. It's not about the Industrial Revolution, Amar. So it's not talking about factories and how factories are mechanizing and producing automation and making manual labor easier. That's the Industrial Revolution. If the paragraph were about the Industrial Revolution, it would describe what the Industrial Revolution was. But Amar, the paragraph is not about the Industrial Revolution. It's about how the Industrial Revolution was helping to speed up the building of taller and taller structures. Okay, let's keep going. E. The designation of the world's tallest building returned to the United States in 1932 with the construction of the 1,250-foot Empire State Building in New York City. One of the incredible architectural achievements of the 20th century, it was completed in just over a year, an astonishing pace. The first building in the world to boast over 100 stories, the Empire State Building stood as the world's tallest for 36 years. What is this about? What is this paragraph about? What is that one about? Ferdov says the quickly built buildings. Amarjeet says it's fast and impressive. Amar says the old and tall building in the past. I don't know if it's an old and tall building in the past, Amar. I mean, it's 20th century. We're coming up pretty close to present day. Shang Hung says the world's tallest building is back to the U.S. Okay, so yes, it's the Empire State Building, which was the tall. So the paragraph is about the Empire State Building in New York, which was the tallest building. And not only was it the tallest building, but it was built very quickly in just over a year. So Empire State Building, the tallest building that was quickly built. Okay. What is the closest match to that? So Empire State Building, really tall, quite incredible and very quickly built. There you go. Yeah, so now you've got it. Yeah, it's fast and impressive is the Empire State Building. Absolutely. So, again, you have to visualize. If you just want the answer to pop out at you, it's not going to work. So the answer is Roman numeral 4. And now we have one more to go. G. Where do we go from here? What heights will buildings of the future reach? Will we one day construct buildings that reach into space? While the impetus for the construction of taller and taller buildings may no longer be proximity to the gods, the desire to touch the sky with our creations remains. Okay. Did I miss F? Oh, yeah. Sorry, Shanghung. Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's jump back to F real quick. So, after domination by Egypt, Western Europe, and the United States in 1975, saw Toronto, Canada's CN Tower, steal away the designation of world's tallest with a height of 1,815 feet. Over a third of a mile high, the CN Tower was the world's tallest for 32 years. This designation is disputed by some academics as they believe a building must be inhabited or worked in order to count as a building. The CN Tower is neither worked nor lived in, though it does have an observation deck. So while it was unambiguously the world's tallest structure during this period, opinions differ on whether it was the world's tallest building. 2007 clarified any debate there was concerning the designation with the construction of the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. It became undoubtedly the world's tallest structure and building, standing 2,722 feet, precisely 50% higher than the CN Tower. The Burj Khalifa soars over half a mile into the sky. Okay, so F, what is it about? And Danish, you answered correctly for G. Okay. CN Tower, no, Danish, it's not about the CN Tower. Danish, look, it talks about the CN Tower, but it also talks about the Burj Khalifa in the United Arab Emirates. So it's not just about the CN Tower. There's more here than that. So Ferdov says, some people ascertain CN Tower is a structure, not a building. Preeti says there's a controversy. Amarjit agrees that there's a controversy here. Yeah, look at this. The designation is disputed. Okay, there is a debate concerning the designation. So we see that argument, right? When we see the word structure versus building. Okay, Zainab says the designation. Okay, so which one of these matches closest? So which one of these choices is the closest match? Yeah, there you go, students. Very good. Number 1, a controversial designation. Okay, it's not about the CN Tower. It's about a controversial designation. Okay, so I, number 1. Okay, and then we have G hanging out here on the next page. We read G. What is it about? And I can read it again. It's just a short paragraph. Where do we go from here? What heights will buildings of the future reach? Will we one day construct buildings that reach into space? While the impetus for the construction of taller and taller buildings may no longer be proximity to the gods, the desire to touch the sky with our creations remains. So Danish repeats, it's about future constructions or construction. Ferdov says about future of skyscrapers. So which one of these matches? Okay, so you're talking it's future construction. Which one of these is the closest match to your answer? Preeti says it's the last one, looking towards the future. And it looks like all the students agree. And that's fantastic. I agree as well. So on the next page here, for G, the answer is XI, or Roman numeral 11. Okay, good. So we've gone a little bit over that 20-minute mark, but that's probably because I'm discussing the answers with you in too much detail. And let's just say that if we minus my discussion time, we have roughly about 5-6 minutes remaining from our 20 minutes. So now we'll go to these yes, no, not given questions. So yes, no, not given, it's a question of logic. You don't need to search the passage for most of the correct answers. Okay. What should I do, members? What do I do for these yes, no, not given questions? What do I do? What's my strategy? How do I answer these quickly? Dobbs says, ask, is it important? So I think Dobbs, what you're saying is read the statement and ask, is it important? Yes. So the Great Pyramid was the world's tallest building for over 4,000 years. Is that important for the passage? So is it important to know that the Great Pyramid was the world's tallest building? Yes. So everybody's saying yes. So if it's yes, then that means that it's given. So now I ask my next question, which is it true? Is it true that the Great Pyramid was the world's tallest for over 4,000 years? Dobbs says maybe. And that's very smart for Dobbs. That's very smart. So if my answer is maybe, I'm going to look back for that 4,000 years. And I know it's in the beginning when it talks about that. So I can see the 4,000 years here. It's easy to find that. So I can read this. The Great Pyramid was the tallest structure in the world for almost 4,000 years. So is it true that it was the tallest for more than 4,000 years? Dobbs says no. Amarjeet says no. Shanghung says no. Yeah, because almost means not quite 4,000 years, so a little bit less, 3,900 or 3,950. So careful, don't make simple mistakes, especially when you can look for it. So the answer is no, right? So in your answer sheet, you're going to put N. All right? It's easy to look for something like this. Be careful. All right? Okay, here we go. Number 8. Erosion caused the Strasbourg Cathedral to lose some of its height. Is it important for this passage to know that erosion caused this church to become shorter, to lose its height? Is that important to know for this passage? Amarwadi says yes. Amarjeet says yes. Shanghung disagrees. Shanghung says no. Danish says no. Zainab says no. Yeah, and I agree with all those no's. So no, it's not. This is not, so the Strasbourg Cathedral is not a main idea in this passage. It's not like the Great Pyramid. These two are not equal. The Great Pyramid was one of the tallest structures for nearly 4,000 years. It's a much more important building than the Strasbourg Cathedral. So some details about the Great Pyramid maybe, but not about the Strasbourg Cathedral. It doesn't make sense. Okay? So I would just say no, and then my answer would be not given. Okay? Now, Nazia says maybe. Okay? I would be confident to say no and not given, but some students, Nazia, I agree with you, might say, well, maybe. So then what do? I go back and I search for this name, Strasbourg Cathedral. That's easy to search for, and it's coming after the the pyramid. So it's in the next paragraph. So Strasbourg Cathedral is right here. Let me erase this so you can, actually, you know what? I'll go up a bit. So it's right here. The Strasbourg Cathedral in France was actually shorter than the original height of the Great Pyramid. Standing 469 feet, the cathedral was approximately 13 feet taller than the Great Pyramid's contemporary height, which had been reduced 35 feet from its original stature by erosion. So do we know that the Strasbourg Cathedral in France was shorter because of erosion or not? No, it's impossible to know that from what the person says. So it's not given, the author. Okay, let's keep going. So the Washington Monument is the world's tallest all-stone obelisk. For the world's tallest building, is it important to know that the Washington Monument is the world's tallest all-stone obelisk? Danish says it's important. Ferdovs agrees it could be important because it's a part of our history of tall buildings. Sure. So it's important. Is it true? So we know it's given because it's important. Is it true that it's the world's tallest all-stone obelisk? Yes, that was very visual. If you read carefully and you visualize that, you should see that. Okay. Number 10, the Eiffel Tower took over 40 years to build. Okay. Is it important to know how long the Eiffel Tower took to build for this passage? Is that important to know? Okay, so you're saying yes. All right. I would say no, but you're saying yes. All right. So you think it's given. So what should you do? Look at the Eiffel Tower, right? I don't think it's important. So I'll explain my logic. I don't think it's important because I only remember the construction of one building, or the time that it took to build one building. Okay. Which building are we sure that they talked about how long it took to build? Anybody remember that? So believe in yourself, believe in your ability to remember information. I only remember reading about one building's time it took. So I don't remember reading about the Burj Khalifa or anything else, except for the Empire State Building, which took 1 year. Okay. So that's the only one I remember reading about how long it actually took to build. So I would actually answer no for that last one and go with not given. But let's say that you're panicking, you're feeling a little bit under pressure, so you don't think about that. So you look for the Eiffel Tower, which is coming from here. So in 1989, the Eiffel Tower was completed and stood as the world's tallest building at 986 feet for over 40 years. So is the information given about how long it took to build the Eiffel Tower? No, it's not given. It's right, Ferdovs. Okay. So the answer for that one is not given. So students, this is why you don't want to search or skim or scan for these answers, because it's no, not given, yes, not given. Okay? There's only one answer here that's a yes. So if you're skimming and scanning for these answers, you're going to have a really, really big problem on your hands. You're going to waste a lot of time to do that. Okay? So it's not given. All right, let's look at the last ones. Number 11, what was the world's tallest building in 1960? Okay, You should answer this on your own. In 1960, according to what you visualized, what was the world's tallest building? So 59 years ago. Ferdov says we should check. I would actually be pretty confident here without checking, Ferdovs. So Ferdov says Empire State Building, maybe? Yeah, I would go with Empire State Building. Okay, so I would be confident. If you still have time, we can check. Okay, number 12. What, according to some commentators, is the difference between buildings and structures? So the next one, according to some people, what's the difference between buildings and structures? So what is the difference? Ferdov says buildings are useful. Shangung says B. Shangung, I'm purposefully trying to cover the answers because I want you to think about the answer first. Okay? In your own mind. The best way to answer multiple choice is think about the answer and then match the answer with what you're thinking. So the difference between buildings and structures is people live or work in buildings. Okay, we live or we work in buildings, but not in structures. So A, buildings are made of different materials. B, buildings were constructed after 1932. C, buildings are designed for people to spend time in. Buildings have observation decks. So the best answer there is C, right? Buildings are designed for people to spend time in. That's the difference. Okay, which statement best summarizes the message of the passage? This one you might think about, okay, the message of the passage is that. What's the message of this passage? So what do you think? If you can't see the choices, what do you think is the message of this passage? What is this passage telling us, really? Marjit says something about the future. I think there's a more clear message than just something about the future, Marjit. Just keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Simple is not easy. You have to practice it, but it will give you the right answer. So what is this passage really saying? Ferdov says the history, the present, and the future of skyscrapers. Okay, Amar says the importance of the structure. Amar, you're kind of close. It's like you're just missing one word. Nazia says it's about buildings. But what about buildings, Nazia? Okay. So I would say that it's about people's ambition to build taller and taller structures throughout history, right? So humans have this wish, this desire, this dream to build taller and taller buildings. A, humans have an inexplicable desire to build towards the sky. Humans will always build higher and higher because they want to get closer to the gods. Human engineering mirrors the height of buildings throughout history. It is human nature to seek knowledge. What do you think? What's closest to what I just said? A, right? Humans just seem to have this deep desire to want to build taller and taller buildings, right? Okay, so yes, we went over the time a little bit, but I decided to work with you a little bit more deeply to make sure that you understand what's happening. But believe me, members, that if I'm not talking, if I'm not waiting for the lag in YouTube live streaming to catch up to your answers and responses, we could actually do what I just did in 20 minutes, comfortably, so not rushed. Okay, it seems like it's rushed, maybe, but you can actually comfortably do what I just did in 20 minutes if you're reading silently, thinking silently with these steps. Okay? So it's absolutely possible to do it in 20 minutes. You can even read a little bit slower. You'll still be within 20 minutes. I challenge you to try it. So if you have our premium course, if you have access to the exams, try it. Try going through these same steps for another passage that has maybe similar questions, and see how long it takes you. See if you can do it in the 20-minute time limit, and check how many answers you get correct. Okay. All right, members, that's it for today, for this class. Coming up in 30 minutes, we will have a class for everyone where everybody can chat. That will be listening sections 3 and 4. For all of our viewers, do check us out at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for the general version of the exam. If you don't have it yet, download our app, Academic IELTS Help. Preeti, you are very welcome. For Dobbs, you're most welcome. Hopefully I will see most of you in 30 minutes for the continuation of yesterday's listening class and practice. Bye for now.